Hello lovelies, it's Lesley. Not quite enough distance. I'm back at work, it's Tuesday. Had a ceremony yesterday, so back in the throes. But yesterday himself came back from his latest trip. He's been to a few different places on this trip, including Amsterdam, to watch cricket. And of course, if you're going to Amsterdam, then it's quite important that you take in all of the important tourist sites. I have bought yarn. He's bought me some as well, because he's a very kind person, but I have bought yarn. Although I'm not buying yarn officially, I usually give myself a caveat of a yarn show, and there was meant to be one that was happening locally, but unfortunately COVID kind of put the kibosh on it, and in the end it didn't happen at all, which was very sad for the organisers and the exhibitors and for those of us who would have gone along. So I thought I'll have a little splurge when himself goes to Amsterdam and Stephen and Penelope. So I gave him some money, but he spent some of his own as well. There are some beauties in here. I will go through them all in the month end podcast, which is this weekend. But my goodness. I am feeling a little overwhelmed and very spoiled and very grateful that he has a similar taste in colours to me. Makes an awful lot of difference. Hello lovelies, how are we? Wednesday morning. Beautiful sunny day again. We are having a nice summer, which is a pleasant thing. It's a bit warm, considering I have to dress sort of formally for work, but it's a nice problem to have. So. Hope you're all well. I know some places have got extremely uncomfortably hot weather, so I hope wherever you are, you're at a temperate range and keeping cool or warm as needed. It's Wednesday morning. I've just dropped himself at the station. He's off to watch more cricket. He was meant to be going tomorrow, but there are rail strikes in the UK, and there's one planned for tomorrow, so he's gone today instead. So, yeah, that's kind of where we're at. Does seem to be a lot of talk about industrial action happening at the moment. Not going to get into the politics of that. Yeah, it's just the way things are right now. So, I have been working on, she said, rapidly changing the subject, the whatever sweater that I showed you a few weeks ago. Now this is a very loose pattern. It's a recipe, well, not even that really, it's just a kind of basic template for a raglan top-down pattern. And this is very much a winter sweater, so I've made it with a high neck. And I'm getting on pretty well. I've done the sleeves. And I'm a lot of the way down the body. I'm doing a very deep 2x2 rib. This will be quite a long sweater, but I'm doing this deep 2x2 rib so that it doesn't, hopefully, I don't want it to be too tunicky. I want it to kind of stay, not fitted, because it's not a fitted sweater, but I don't want it to be too flappy. So that's kind of where we're at with this. The yarn is scraps, so all my 4-ply and sport weight leftovers, part balls, scrappy bits, plied with some fine yarn that I had on cones in the stash. So the meterage on this is going to look like thousands and thousands of meters, but that's because I've got 3 strands of very fine yarn plied in with the 4-ply stuff, and I plied it all on the wheel as I've done for a sweater before, just so that it is a sort of truer marl rather than having these patches of the colour and then the one you're marling it with. So I'm pleased with how this is coming along. I'd quite like to finish it because I have other things that I want to be working on. I've done some machine knitting, and at the moment they're just big rectangles of fabric, but they will be something hopefully very soon. Yeah, it's It's a pleasant project to work on. It's on, well, the body was on 6mm needles or 6.5, so it's rattled through fairly quickly. And one bit I must just show you actually. Now, I think this was yarn from Chintz Pie Knits. I could be wrong on that. Or it could have been from Luxury Yarns. But look at the pooling. It looks like I planned it. I'm not that clever, but it just pooled beautifully. If I'd had more of this yarn, I would have had these fantastic vertical stripes. But it's just a little bit of neon joy. I think the vlog is going to be fairly short this week. I've got the podcast coming up at month end, so tomorrow. So yeah, there may not be much more between now and then. But I hope you're all well. And I don't always say it, but I always am very grateful for your comments, your thoughts, your observations, your tips, your advice. Love to hear from you and to just kind of be involved and to really feel part of a community. It means a great deal to me. So keep well, happy crafting if that's what you're doing, happy working if that's what you're doing, and I'll catch up with you soon. Hello lovelies, as you can see it's another sunny day. As I've just about finished that sweater that I was showing you yesterday, I need to start thinking about my next project. It's going to be considerably smaller. My mate Mand wants a pair of fingerless gloves. So I found this pattern which we used to call old, we now called vintage. And in fact it's got some writing on the back which I think is my mum's writing, just some numbers crossed through. So this certainly is a pattern of a certain vintage. It's still in grams, so it's at least after 1970, but possibly only just. And I'm going to make her some fingerless gloves. The yarn I'm going to use is this Fruitful Fusion yarn in the Notebook colourway. It's a 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon DK weight. I'm using this because she doesn't like terribly bright colours, so this is about as subtle as it gets in my stash. But I also wanted something that was machine washable, and I've chosen one with nylon in, so it's a little more hard wearing. Just think with gloves, you've got a lot of movement in your hands, so they're more likely to pill. So something with nylon would be a little harder wearing. So I hope she likes these colours. Mandy, let me know sooner rather than later if you don't, because I'm going to start. And yeah, that will be my next project. Although we have this old pattern, I have scanned pages of it and printed them off. I like to, well, like my mother apparently, write over patterns, especially when I'm doing two of something. So, you know, 2 sleeves, 2 gloves, 2 socks, whatever. I like to mark on how many rows I've done. I tend to work by row numbers rather than inches or centimetres. So I like to mark on here how much I've done so that I can make sure the second one matches. So this beauty will turn into my next project. It's quite squishy. I rather like it. I think that's going to be it for this week. The month end podcast will be up tomorrow. And I hope that you're all well and having fun, whatever you're doing. In terms of this week following, himself is away again. More cricket. I've had a photograph that he sent through of himself and his friend enjoying afternoon tea. How terribly civilised. Yes, he's back for a few days next week and then he goes again. It's an odd life we have at the moment. But that's about it. Nothing, only one thing planned for me in the next week. Well, apart from the dentist on Monday morning for a checkup. Who needs that? Sunday, my mate Mand and I are going to look at some open gardens. So this is something that's kind of a national scheme. People open their gardens and they charge for entry to raise money for local hospices, other local charities. And we went to a particular village last year and we're going back again on Sunday. So that should be good. We are expecting good weather. It rained on us last year, so we're expecting sunshine this year. But apart from that, just same old, same old. So I hope you have a good week, whatever you're doing. Look after yourselves. Thanks for being here. I'll see you next week if you watch the vlogs. I'll see you this weekend if you watch the podcast. And thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.